What's going on, guys? UFC 270 recap. You celebrate your wins. You can't hide from your losses. This was an absolute beatdown of epic proportions. I could not tell you the last time I felt this embarrassed. Both just getting picks wrong, but also just the reads were way off. I felt prepared. I felt the tape study was done. I felt we had the leans. And just way, way off. And it wasn't like bad bounces. Well, maybe a couple bad bounces here and there, but just bad reads. So that's on me. And unfortunately, we have to deal with it. So you always try to take off pertinent information. Where did we learn? Where did we go wrong? What can we improve on? And thankfully, it starts with the very first fight. Jasmine Jasudavicius taking on Kay Hansen. So we all know about women's MMA, right? Why are we getting invested in women's MMA? Anything can happen, even though Kay Hansen's an over 2-1 favorite and seems like she probably got a little more refined skill in every one area. Yeah, it's probably an unpredictable fight. Beyond that, where I screwed up, and again, this is where I feel embarrassed, is 22-year-old fighter. Like, what are you doing, Cody? This girl's 1-1 in the UFC, debuted as a 20-year-old, hasn't fought in 14 months, doing OnlyFans content on the side. It was just like, got other things going on. Lay off, but 22 years old. And that cost her here because first round, competitive. I think that Kay Hansen's maybe not getting the better of the strike standing. It seems like Jasudavicius is just in her face, aggressive, has good output, wants to scrap, wants to throw down. But I don't feel like Kay Hansen's looking all that bad. It's the takedown. I mean, once Jasmine gets the takedown, Kay Hansen doesn't really have much off her back. She's trying to an extent. She's trying to set up a triangle. She's trying to set up some rubber guard. She's trying to maybe isolate an arm, look for a Kimura. There's just nothing to it, right? Jasmine knows what to do and wins the first round. So Kay goes back to the corner after the first round. This is where a corner lets her down. They tell her, good job, Kay. That's your round. Now, I understand why a corner would lie to the fighter and say that you won the first round. You don't want them getting discouraged. Maybe this girl's a bit of a basket case. You want the confidence rolling high. But in this case, if you tell her she won the first round, she believes she won the first round, where's the sense of urgency in this round two? And you need to win round two because you actually, in fact, lost the first round. So second round, Kay Hansen comes out. And this is what I liked from her. She shoots the takedown. Completes it, kind of like a caught kick, but is able to get Jasmine to the canvas, secure like some okay top position. And then this is where it goes back to the green, the inexperience, the 22. You get the takedown. You need to physically get some round time in here, right? Spend some time on top, chip away with short shots, but just kind of get your confidence rolling and positionally hold her down. But instead, she just gets too eager to try to pass. It looks like she's trying to just get to mount, doesn't quite have it, and allows that opportunity for Jasmine to just buck and roll. She's able to hit a sweep. Once Jasmine's back on top, it's just much of the same. Now you're down 2 rounds. Kudos for Kay Hansen. She went for it in the third. It wasn't like Jasmine was shooting takedowns like she was in the previous 2 rounds. But yeah, I thought the third round was definitely Kay Hansen's best round. She outstruck her in the third, but it was just too little too late. You lost the first 2 rounds. There just wasn't anything real good to her game. There's no X factor. Her wrestling's not very good. Her boxing's not very good. Her cardio checked out, I suppose. Her durability checks out, I suppose. But as far as like the offensive skills, there just wasn't enough. And for Jasmine, I got to apologize. I got to absolutely apologize. Way off on this one. I mean, I touted how she's turning 33 in March. This is her UFC debut. She's a bit of a latecomer to the sport. She's got skills everywhere, just doesn't have enough time to really refine those skills. More than enough. Her wrestling looked good here. It looked better than Kay Hansen's, and Kay Hansen was supposed to be a factor in this division. As far as her striking goes, is it raw? Sure, but that kind of style of being aggressive and being in your opponent's face, good. Did her cardio slow down a little bit? Maybe in the third round wasn't her greatest round. I scored the fight 29-28 for Jasmine. 2 judges did. One gave it 30-27. Was she slowing down? Maybe. But again, this is UFC debut at the Honda Center in Anaheim on a big UFC pay-per-view. I'm not on the pay-per-view portion, but yeah, you could see how stuff like that could get to somebody. So not the greatest third round, but beyond that, solid win. And again, I got to eat crow on that one. I was completely off. Gutted. Feels bad. Vanessa Demopoulos versus Silvana Gomez-Juarez. This is just a dogger pass. I mean, honestly, Juarez is a much better striker, and you've got Demopoulos is a much better grappler. Striker is a grappler. Most fights tend to hit the ground at some point. But it was slight underdog money Juarez, so I didn't feel terrible going that way. The bottom pick on the PRP. There's 11 fights on the card. This one is self-admittedly the least confident. And Manpreet, MMA Lock of the Night, and I spoke about it on Propping You Up, that the plus 450 on Demopoulos by sub, if you were going to play any prop on the fight, sprinkle on that just because If the fight hits the ground, she's going to have a significant advantage. And honestly, this one played out exactly like that, right? Juarez, a much better striker. Vanessa Demopoulos, hands low, walks straight through the pocket. She's ultra aggressive, but walks into a stinging right hand, and she's hurt. She's big time hurt. And this is where Juarez makes the mistake. You know you got this girl outgunned on the feet, right? One, because you're a better striker. Two, because you've watched the tape on her leading up to this camp and you know exactly what she's going to bring. And three, you just floored her with a right hand within what? The opening seconds of this fight. It's not going to get any better from her if you just allow her to stand. But that over-eagerness, you want to follow them up to the ground. And I will give her one thing. She landed a couple good ground and pound shots that looked like Vanessa Demopoulos was out, or at least very stung. But she was kind of like fish one arm under the leg to maybe roll for a leg lock, and then she just left herself not defended. As soon as she got the angle, though, she just used that grip to switch over to an arm bar, slapped it on, and Juarez just got submitted by Lupita Godinez her last fight via armbar. It doesn't seem like she has much submission defense. As soon as that thing got locked up, you knew it was over. You knew it was over because Vanessa Demopoulos was just excellent BJJ, but also she would be able to transition that into whatever she wanted. She had her locked up. She had her on the ground. This is striker versus grappler. If the fight stays standing, striker's going to win. If the fight hits the ground, grappler's going to win. The bonehead decision here is that Juarez was the one that initiates the ground sequence by going to the ground and trying to get a little greedy with the ground and pound. So she blows it. I didn't have really much financial investment there, so it didn't matter to me. But it started the night off 0-2 from a picks perspective, so not great. Matt Frevola versus Gennaro Valdez. This is a hindsight pick. This is a hindsight pick in that everybody I spoke to was taking Matt Frevola. Everybody thought Matt Frevola just had the better skills everywhere. I mean, striking's okay. Chin's not good, so you don't want to see him use that striking. But if he uses his wrestling, if he gets this fight to the ground, if the fight goes into deeper waters, he's got the deeper cardio, much better experience, trains with world-class guys. I mean, he spent some time in Gracie Orlando and also, of course, with Matt Serra's gym over in New York. Like, he's well-trained in a gym full of killers on the day-to-day basis. He's got the experience in the UFC. He's got all that. He's just chinny. And so this is a night I got blown up, but a guy like Frevola, you would have gone higher on him. He could have been a key piece just because of the skill discrepancy. It's the chin. It causes you to get nervous. Now you don't quite pull the trigger. So I moved him down lower than I probably should have because I'm worried about the chin. Fight starts. Frevola's not worried about his chin because he stands right in front of Valdez and just starts chucking. As it turns out, though, Valdez don't got much of a chin himself because, we did see him get stung on Contender Series against Patrick White as a 10-1 favorite, and you chalk it up as just like, maybe he just got caught in that fight. Nah, his chin's not very good. Like, Frevola was throwing heat, staying in. It wasn't like his striking was off by no means. It's that whenever he would hit Valdez, he would just hit the deck. He was able to recover. Mike Beltran was certainly willing to let him die in there, but what would you do? He'd briefly recover, get back up, almost land a couple decent shots of his own, show he's still alive, show he's still in the fight, and then something would zap him and he would just hit the canvas again. I don't know. I don't know even how you count the knockdowns. At the time, it felt like it was 5 or 6 knockdowns. I think Fight Metric officially ruled it as 4 knockdowns. But regardless, it was just, this is all in the course of one round. Like, absolutely put a beating on him. So, good win for Frevola. Is his chin any better? I don't know. And if he's going to fight wild and reckless like that, because it was a thrilling brawl, but if that's his approach to fights going forward, someone's going to chin check him again. No doubt about that. But fun performance, gets back in the win column, and you didn't even have to see his wrestling. You didn't even have to see his grappling. You didn't have to see his deep cardio. All the things that he's normally good at and he's made a reputation at, a career out of. You didn't even see any of that. You saw him just go straight at this guy like a pit bull and chuck hands, something you don't really see out of Frevola, especially considering he just got knocked down in 7 seconds. So mentally, he seems all the way to recovered, but that is a dangerous way to fight. Gennaro Valdez, meanwhile, first pro loss, but man, dropped 4 times by Matt Frevola. Matt Frevola, all of his wins in the UFC have been by decision, right? In fact, he's normally the guy getting rocked, but he's not a knockout puncher. He's not one of these big stinging guys that's going to go out there and put you out. So where does Valdez go from here? Quite considerably, everybody he's going to fight from here on out is going to be as good of a puncher as Frevola. So he's just got a lot of defensive liabilities in his game that up, and I don't know where he's going to shore them up. You can see a guy like this fanning out of the UFC in a couple fights, but they'll be exciting for however many fights he has in the organization because the guy is wild and reckless, but the fans like it. The fans like it. And so tough a day at the office for him. I don't think he's going to go very far in this division, let alone this organization. But for Frevola, good stuff. Good stuff. Should have gone higher up on him. What are you going to do? Tony Gravely versus Saman Oliveira. To me, this is very much of the same thing, right? You want to love Tony Gravely. You want to jump in on Tony Gravely, but you know he's going to get tired. You know he's going to get stung with a couple shots. And coming off that last fight with Nate Maness, it's like either he knocks you out early, like his skills are tight. His wrestling is just explosive, blast double. He can shoot from every angle. He can switch. He can go to a low ankle pick. His striking, big overhand right. You know, he'll stand in the pocket with you. He'll march you down. He's got all of the skills. It's that as soon as he starts to get tired, it falls off. So if he knocks you out quick, great. If not, going to be a problem. And with Samuel Oliveira, never been finished. So I think that was the bit of doubt, the seed of doubt within myself. That was like, why don't we go all in on a guy like Tony Gravely? Again, this is another matchup where he has the better skill set pretty much everywhere. So the cardio makes you worried. You know, you got burned by a guy the last time he fought. It's recency bias. It's in your mind. And so I think that was kind of my problem with Tony Gravely. And so first round, dude looks good, man. His striking's on point. He gets the takedowns whenever he wants them. That was his key advantage, and he used it successfully. Second round, he's using it, but he's tiring, man. Tony Gravely don't look all that good. The benefit for him is that Samuel Oliveira's takedown defense just wasn't there. And his striking, although in the first round, striking advantage Tony Gravely. In the second round, largely Tony Gravely, but as he starts to tire, Samuel Oliveira is now just throwing caution to the wind and marching him up. The problem is the more aggressive he would get, knowing I got this guy getting tired and getting sloppy, maybe I can connect on him, the more aggressive he would get, he would just leave himself open to getting taken down. So Gravely just went right back to the path of most success. Third round, Gravely's up 2-0, so he doesn't have to take any chances. And he did. He still slung with them. But whenever he got a little bit worried, whenever he got a little bit tired, whenever he got a little bit stung or got his bell rung, he could just revert back to the wrestling. It was easy money for him for the most part. I had 30-27 for Tony Gravely. And again, those are the kind of guys you should load up on. Those are the kind of guys you should have been all in on. But coming off a loss, you know, that's seeded out. Seeded out kind of cost me. Jack Della Madeline, I just call him Jack Della now. Pretty cute name on its own. Versus Pete Rodriguez. No doubt here, right? We had Jack Della. We're high up on Jack Della. What he showed on Contender Series is he just keeps coming forward and is aggressive, has deep cardio, and has a legitimate striking arsenal. I love guys with high output. If you don't have great power, that's fine, but just put a pace on a guy. Jack Della has both. He puts pace on a guy, but my God, he's got some serious power. Pete Rodriguez, meanwhile, he didn't look great as an amateur, 7-2 amateur, both losses, you know, tad bit suspect. Only turns pro 2 years ago. Goes 4-0 against abysmal competition, and now he's in the UFC taking on Jack Della, like short notice. It was never going to go good for this guy, but I had low expectations for him. And I'll be honest with you, didn't look half bad. I don't know how his cardio would have been if this fight would have gone to a second or third round, but he did a good job of mixing it up. He would go to the body, go to the head. He nailed Jack Della with a couple crisp shots, but Della has a pretty good chin. He just wasn't able to really get his respect and back him off, and therein lied the problem. Because he didn't get his respect and he couldn't back him off, Jack Della just marched him down and he'd snap his head back with that straight left every single time. Jab was on point. Pretty much everything he threw landed, and it landed flush. And that's not to say this guy had no head movement in Pete Rodriguez. He was moving all over the place. It's just like Della was zoned in. If you want to brawl with him, you're going to have a problem. If you want to stand back and just try to pick your shots with him, you're going to have a problem. If you want to take him down, that seems the way to beat the guy. But he's like Borshev, who we just saw last week, right? You can take the guy down. He just gets back up. And when he gets back up, it's not good for anybody. He'll put a pace on you. That's exactly what he did. I'm actually going to say that Pete Rodriguez, ever so slightly, in my opinion, his stock went up a little, even though he got knocked out in the first round. But Della was as advertised. This wasn't a guy that just won a fight on the Contender Series over a putts and looked good, but it was a low-level guy. And this is another low-level guy, so how much can you take away? But I think Della is, 25 or 26 years old. I think he's got a promising future. If he continues to train, he shores up that takedown defense. Guys with pace, deep cardio, good striking arsenal, good chin, they'll go far. They'll go far if they want it. Victor Henry versus Raoni Barcelos. This is where the night effectively just goes straight downhill. Because we started off 0-2. You know, we lost Jasmine. We lost to Vanessa Demopoulos. A couple women's MMA fights, 0-2, whatever. Don't beat yourself up too bad, kid. Then we get the next three. You know, Matt Frivola comes through. Tony Gravely comes through. Jack Della came through. We also like the knockout prop on Jack Della. And, you know, he gets that one as well. You know what? We're turning the night around. This is where it kills me. So Raoni Barcelos, you know, guy that I've been very fond of for a long time. Again, he's got skills everywhere. Can do it all. Where is he at his weakest, probably his ring IQ. And I can now officially say, after watching this Victor Henry fight, his head movement. Like, the guy just doesn't fucking move his head. He throws beautiful 2-3 punch combinations and then just stands and admires his work with his head right on the center line. But you can't take anything away from Victor Henry. Again, where I fuck up is a guy like Matt Frevola is a 2-1 favorite. A guy like Tony Gravely is a -250 favorite, right? And they're infinitely better options than Raoni Barcelos, who's like a nearly 6-1 favorite. I use Raoni as a top ticket play. Therefore, if Raoni loses, my parlays are dead in the water. Why do you have that faith in him? Well, he's got the experience in the UFC, but beyond that, he's got experience just everywhere. The black belt, the Brazilian national wrestling team, the Chris boxing combinations. It just wasn't it for him, man. I know he's 34, and like Victor Henry's 34. He looked career best. Rowney looked shop-worn. He looked shop-worn in his last fight against Timur Valiev, but this was just a continuation of that. The first 2-3 minutes, I felt awesome. I felt like, you know what? I made an excellent choice here, top ticketing Raoni Barcelos. This is what a top ticket guy looks like. He's just tagging Victor Henry at will. You know, beautiful combination punching, tight right hand, doing everything he wants. And then about 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes left, it's like, I don't know. He starts to get hit himself. As he starts to get hit, eyes getting swollen, nose is getting busted. Victor Henry's starting to grow with confidence. This is a close round. This is where the fucking ring IQ comes in, right? So he catches a kick off Victor Henry. He kicks at the leg. Henry falls to the ground. There's like 40 seconds left in the round. All he needs to do, he actively attempted to get him here. He wanted that takedown. You won the early part of the round. Victor Henry is now taking over this round. If you just get on top of him and hold out 40 seconds of top control, you're going to fucking probably win the round. No, he stands and he just watches him. Lets him up. Victor Henry gets up, goes right at him, stings him with 2 punches. Rowney actually tries to clinch and tries to take him down. You just fucking had him down. None of this has to be happening. And then boom, series of knees. It's now a Victor Henry round, right? So now we've got Rowney's tiring. He's just taken some good damage, and he's just dropped the first round, which is traditionally his best round. Oh man, we're fucked. You just know it. You just know you're fucked right then and there. If you can hedge out and you can put money on Victor Henry, do so. Obviously, I did not. But you just knew it was over right then and there. So second round is just a continuation of it for the most part. Like now Victor Henry's got confidence. His cardio is not going anywhere. He's throwing the combinations now, just more volume, good kicking from the outside. It looked like Rowney would do a decent job of maybe like buckling that low calf, and then he just wouldn't use it anymore. It was like a one and done weapon. He wasn't going out there a game plan of kicking this guy's leg continuously. It was just like one weapon to use here and there. Victor Henry, meanwhile, putting a pace on him. So now I'm screaming at the TV like, Rowney, shoot. You need to shoot. The first round you've lost on the striking, okay? And you probably could have won it had you just established a little top control. This second round, dude, you're losing, okay? It's not going your way. What's plan B? What's the plan B? There just wasn't no plan B. You know, he did shoot a couple sloppy takedowns, didn't come anywhere near them, didn't commit them, and then just backed away. Now, maybe Victor Henry's takedown defense, by the way, Henry is a very talented guy, but maybe it was that good that Rowney just knew for sure, I can't take this guy down, and wasn't attempting to really push the envelope. But in my mind, it was like Victor Henry would land 5 strikes and Rowney would land 2, and they were okay. And then it was like he believed that was his only path. I got to catch this guy. So now you're waiting on that one punch. You're just waiting on that one punch. He landed a couple beautiful shots. Victor Henry got a cast iron chin. That one shot that he's waiting on just never came. And in the meantime, he just allowed himself to get out volume. So he took the damage. He tired out. His timing looked off. He looked slower than he normally does. His wrestling looked worse than it normally does. I would just say that this is like the beginning of the regression and the decline of Raoni Barcelos. Can still beat a lot of the guys in this division, no doubt about that. But Victor Henry, that was his coming out party. And similar to Chris Curtis, because they brought him up on the broadcast to make the comparison. I like the comparison. I like it because going back to the 22-year-old Kay Hansen, there's no life experience there. There's no real experience. There's no I've been in the gym for 15 years and I've sparred with some of the best guys, you know, going to different camps and getting different looks and working with different coaches. It's just like you're set on that one thing that got you there. Whereas these 34-year-old guys, and Victor Henry, he improved to 22-5. It's his 27th professional fight, right? He's fought largely in Japan, like the majority of his career in Japan. He's got wins over UFC veterans. He's got wins over Japanese, you know, sensations, the top guys over there. He's fought a gamut of talented opponents. He's UFC ready. And where a Jasmine Jasudavicius, almost no experience. But again, you're 32 years old. You're 10 years older than your opponent. That it's gotta mean something. Sure, there's these whiz kids every now and again, and this, super talented. Oh my God, look at them. They're the next big thing. But for every one of those, there's 5, a Paige Van Zandt or a Sage Northcutt or a Chase Hooper or a Kay Hansen. Like, it just, and that's why a Macy Barber loses to a Roxanne Modafferi. Like, experience is just so fucking important. It's not like Rowney lost because he didn't have the experience. It's like Victor Henry got slept on. He got straight up slept on because nobody debuting against a tough dude who's a fringe top 15 contender in the world's toughest division, 135 pounds. Like, people weren't giving him his respect. And again, I did fuck up here because I like Victor Henry and I top ticket Rowney Barcelos, knowing he looked bad in his last fight, knowing he just let me down, knowing all these things. Like, it's disappointment for me. I shouldn't beat myself up too bad. I get it. And there's another card, not next week, the week after, and there's a Bellator, and there's this and that. It's a long season. I preach long season. It is what it is. But like, this one was particularly bad, and I got fucked up on this event.
In case you live underneath a rock or something, you should know that the NFL playoffs are here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is kicking things off with a huge offer counting down to Super Bowl 56. And new customers can get 56-1 odds on any championship weekend team to win their game. Just bet $5 to win $280 in free bets if your team is victorious. That's right. Just bet $5 on any NFL playoff game, and DraftKings Sportsbook will give new customers an additional $280 in free bets if the team they choose wins their game. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you still have something to play for this championship weekend. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings daily fantasy football contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code DOP and get 56-1 odds on any NFL team. Bet just $5 to win $280 in free bets if your team wins. That's promo code DOP at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL.
Michael Morales versus Trevin Giles. Not a fight that I wanted a whole lot of exposure on, but we're kicking off the main card at this point. And yeah, Michael Morales, he's 22, right? What the fuck is this guy know? He's from Ecuador. He's currently training, I think, over with like Brandon Moreno, getting some good looks with some good level camps, no doubt about it. But yeah, he's got a long way to go. His Ecuadorian wrestling's probably not UFC caliber. He's got a 79-inch reach, but does he know how to use it? And meanwhile, Trevin Giles, all the things I just preached, he's got UFC experience. He's 30 years old. He's considered the veteran, but he's just so lost. Like, he's just potential that was never realized. Debuts at 205 in the UFC. He's obviously too small. Goes down to 185. Has a couple bum performances where he gets tired and he gasses out, and just never really looks good. The James Krause fight, he wins a split decision, but just looks awful against a guy that took the fight on like 12 hours notice, down 2 weight classes. He never looked good. Now he's making his 170 debut. If you want to just go based on narrative, which ding ding, I guess I did. Yeah, he's at 170. This would be good for him. He's finally found the weight class. He's just lost. He's just searching for something. No success at 85. The guys are too big. They hit too hard. Now you're dropping down to 170. I didn't think he looked in great shape on the scales. I didn't think it looked like he was overly that big of a welterweight, but I don't know. Maybe he had a bad weight cut. And what you did see in the Dreykus fight, the Dreykus Duplessis fight, which was his last outing, it was like bad decision making, dude. He stood right in the pocket and exchanged with him, just a much heavier puncher in Dreykus. Now, the thing there is that Dreykus is actually a welterweight. He's fought the majority of his career at welterweight and went up to 185 and cold cocked him. So you think you're going to 170 and you're going to avoid this power, but they give you some Ecuadorian people are very strong, by the way. They give you some raw savage of a man, 22, hungry, chomping at the bit, 79-inch reach. Just takes one. And then Giles starts off okay, but he got reckless, man. He tried to attack this guy the same way he got reckless against Dreykus, stepped in the pocket, didn't move his head, ate a counter right hand, and it folded him up. So, listen, I mean, he did it to himself, but what if you're Giles, like, this is kind of end of the road. Like, do you try to make 170 again? And this guy's coming off Contender Series. He got paid $10,000 to take this fight, $20,000 because he won the fight. Like, he's right at the bottom of the totem pole. He's 22. He's very raw. Like, Can you find a lesser opponent? Turns out he's actually pretty good. This kid looked good. But can you find a lesser guy? Like, where, if you're Jaws, like, where do you go from? You're a 10-fight UFC veteran at this point. You need to be moving up. Now you're getting dusted by Contender Series veterans in the first round. Do you go back to 185? No, that's not it. Didn't have no success there. Easy a guy that could be on a Bellator show or an LFA if that's what he chooses. But he's also a police officer in Texas, so maybe he's just got his mind on something else. I didn't have a whole lot of confidence in it anyways. Had Rowney Barcelos won, I wouldn't have given a fuck. It's like, who cares if Trevin Jaws, I got no interest in that. I got my other tickets are still in play. But at this point, Rowney loses. Those are all burnt up. I bet a prop of Michael Morales, Trevin Jaws goes the distance. That's up in flames. Jaws loses. It's just another bad pick. And now I'm sitting 3-4 in the night. It's just a continuation of a bad night. So let's keep that continuation going. Said Nurmagomedov versus Cody Stamann. Cody Stamann is one of the few dogs I like. Other dogs are clearly barking on this card. Nope, not the one I like, Cody Stamann. He was plus 200, plus 170. He moved around a little bit in the week. If he's going to win, it's going to be a decision, so you can juice it up and take that Cody Stamann decision. And even if you don't love Cody Stamann, just take the fight to go to decision. Sure, it's minus 250. How does this fight not go to decision? Said Nurmagomedov, no relation to Khabib, not really much of a grappler. Former 125er, doesn't submit guys. He wants to knock them out. And luckily for us, Cody Stamann has never been knocked out. But Dempster breaks on MMA fights, man. Like, expect the unexpected. And that's pretty much it. Said has the spinning stuff. That was expected. That's what we did see coming. Cody Stamann avoids it. Cody Stamann shoots a takedown. Okay, things are going to plan. That guillotine was tight the second it got locked up. He didn't even have the body at the time. He just, like, it's a modified guillotine choke. You're not trying to grasp your hands together. Well, you are trying to grasp your hands, but it's like a high elbow guillotine choke. And if you get it sunk in, almost a power guillotine, very, very, very difficult to get out of. I mean, he got the single leg. It looked like he was going to try to get over to side control, or at least, very least, past the guard. But that thing was so tight. Said's arms, like, long, lanky, under the chin, got some good leverage on it. He had nowhere to go. Did he tap really fast? Sure, he tapped really fast, but the thing was really tight. So it's the second time he's tapped now in his career. He's been submitted by Aljamain Sterling, and now he just got submitted by Said Nurmagomedov. But that one hurts. Yeah, that one hurts. Again, it wasn't like I was proclaiming Cody Stamann as one of the most confident players. Just he was that dog. He was that dog I thought was going to go out there and give a fight. And even if he did lose, which of course is a possibility, that he would lose by decision and give a good account of himself. None of which happened. He got smoked out of the water. He did not look good, and it was a submission. So I don't know how many people were taking Said Nurmagomedov by submission, but if you did, absolute props. Unfortunately, from what I've seen, I didn't see that as being a possibility. And again, Murphy's Law, absolutely. So, well, we're like 3-5 on the night. Things certainly not going good. Michel Pereira versus Andre Fiallo. I got a brief opportunity to turn this night around. I need Pereira, Moreno, Cyril Gane, nothing less than that. Turn this thing around. I can't pat my back on Michel Pereira. We liked him. We said on the preview show this week, he probably wins the fight wherever. But we kind of bashed Fiallo. I didn't mean to come off by being disrespectful if I was, but I just didn't think his chin was all that good. He usually loses in these step-up opportunities. Bellator had released him. He never really realized his potential there. He goes over to PFL. He went 1 loss and 1 no contest, which it was 0-2. The dude just happened to fail the drug test, I think, afterwards. So it's like fans out of Bellator, fans out of PFL. Now he's taking a UFC debut on short notice against an absolute murderer in Michel Pereira. Like, this guy's not going to have much chance. I don't think so. First round, what is going on here? This has been a terrible night. But is this really how it's going to go down? The Pereira looks lost in there. He's not being super wild and aggressive, which I like. He's definitely trying to, save a little bit of gas, but he's just not really doing anything. Like, the story of the whole first round is that Andre Fiallo jab. He just keeps nailing him with the jab. You got Pereira trying to figure out the distance, trying to figure out the timing, trying to figure out when he's going to explode and do something. He just doesn't explode. He just doesn't do anything. So he's down around. And again, when you've bet Michel Pereira, the first round is your best round. He always wins the first round. How many times has Michel Pereira not won the first round? It's the longer the fight goes, he's going to get tired. So you know you just lost a round. The second and third round probably aren't going to get any better. Second round starts, and he is tiring. He is slowing. He's moving good laterally still, but it just looks like he's getting a little bit sluggish. luckily for him, Fiallo, whatever reason, something gets through. It's a body kick, I think. It might have been one of those front kicks straight up the middle. It might have been, a short shot that landed to that like liver side, but something freezes him up because he temporarily stops coming forward. Whole first round, he's largely coming forward, sticking him with the jab. Second round, he starts off trying to come forward. Something got through to him and froze him up to the body. Once he took his foot off the gas and stopped pressuring Pereira, you saw Pereira make that realization of like, oh, wait, I got him. And he put fatigue aside and he went for it. Landed a couple real nice right hands. It looked like he had him. He went for a flying knee, misses the flying knee, shoots a second flying knee. Guy's just a berserk rager, like why not take your time and set it up? He does it. He just goes balls to the walls for it, and Fiallo recovers. But then like moments later, just right to the body shot. Now you see clear grimace. He's hurt to the body. And Pereira tries to storm him, tries to rush him, doesn't quite get the job done. I believe he was hurt a third time in the round. It was largely one-way traffic. Is it enough for a 10-8 round? Excellent question. I thought it was a very clear and concise round. It was a beating of a round. He dominated him pretty much the entire 5 minutes. He hurt him 3 times. There was a sense, at least on that second time where he hurt him to the body, maybe the end is near. Maybe there's going to be a stoppage. Doesn't that all qualify for a 10-9? On the other hand, it wasn't that bad of a beating. He kicked his ass, but it wasn't like, oh my God, this guy's holding on for dear life. Like, he fought back the entire time. And then the round ends. By the way, I got a plus 190 Michel Pereira TKO prop. Like, what a fucking night, man. Don't worry. The round ends, and Fiallo goes back to his corner, and he looks like Christ on the cross. Like, he is done in, man. He's sagged over. Henry Hoof has got his arm, like, holding him up, essentially. He's got his eyes closed. He's huffing and puffing. He's got his head over the side. They're icing him. They're pouring water on him. He looks cooked. He looks dead. Reason 675 why I'm not a fighter. Henry just tells him, you want this, don't you? You want this. And he can't even reply. I was like, oh, man, we're going to get a third round TKO. I'm feeling pretty good at this point. We're going to catch at least a ticket here and roll into the co-main event with the slightest bit of momentum. He looks dead. You want this, don't you? The round starts. This motherfucker comes back to life like Lazarus, right? And just goes right at Michel Pereira again. How the hell did he go from dead in the second round, hurt 3 times, right? He's exhausted. He's done. He can't even hold himself up. He can hardly breathe. He can't even open up his own eyes. He's not responding to his corner. And he comes out for the third round, and he looked actually kind of fresh. He hit like a third wind, and he was pressuring Pereira. Thing is, he was pressuring with his hands low. Pereira would just stick and move. It didn't seem like Pereira was just smoking him in the round. It wasn't a runaway round, but he was doubling him up on the striking stats for sure. I think they even showed it at some point. Maybe it was like 44-22 was the final that they had. I don't know what Fight Metric ended up scoring it afterwards, but that's like the UFC stat that they brought up. Like he did double him up in that third round in striking, but it was him backing up the entire time. Fiallo came forward to fight, and you had, Pereira just backing up, kick down the middle, one shot, backing up, retreating, not running away, fought smart. But he needs the third round, and of course, because he had the volume, he's able to get that third round. But the reason I don't feel great about it is I tout Pereira as this is an excellent pick this week, and I think he's got this guy beat everywhere and all this and that. If Fiallo had a full camp, he could have very easily won that fight. He won the first round straight up. Second round, he definitely took a bit of a beating, but that could be short notice factor. And in the third round, this dude's fighting for it. I was kind of wrong about him. He's only 27, right? So maybe all that trials and tribulations that he had in Bellator and had in PFL, maybe he lands at Sanford MMA, gets with a great group of guys, still only 27, has experience built up, and is going to be able to run with it. But this is the one I got right, and I didn't even feel good about it. Like, Pereira just didn't look good, man. He didn't look good. He got the win. But again, he got the win over a guy who took the fight on a week's notice, wasn't at this level, didn't look like he'd be able to compete with a top 15 fringe contender like Pereira. Pereira's got the momentum. He can take guys down now. He's got the striking. He's got this explosives. Like, didn't look that good, man. Didn't look that good. But that's about as it was going to get from me, right? Like, and he didn't get no fucking better from me on a personal level. So, Davidson Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno. I hung my hat on this one. I love Brandon Moreno. I'm going to bet with my boy, Lock of the Night, preview show. I says, dude, I'll do a beard versus beard with you. Whoever loses got to shave the beard. He's, nah, I can't do that. He sends me a DM. He says, how about you do a shoey if you lose? Which, by the way, we'll get to the main event after that. You do a shoey if you lose. If I lose, I'll do a shot every 20 minutes for the entire show next time we get together for UFC 271. So I'm like, shit, this is a great deal. One shoey versus this guy's going to do a shot every 20 minutes. Him and I usually talk for like an hour and a half. Like, that's great content. Plus, how am I going to lose this one? Brandon Moreno, I'm firm on the fact that the future is his. The torch has been passed. He's still in 28, getting better every day. Cardio for days, chin for days, submission defense for days. He can wrestle. He can strike. He's a complete package. Lost the first couple rounds to Figgy, point deduction in the first fight. Since then, it's been all Moreno. I thought he won 4 and 5 of the first meeting. He won all 3 rounds of the second meeting. He finishes in the second meeting, just runs right through him. He's getting better. Figueiredo, meanwhile, is 34. The weight cut's tough on him. He's slowing down a little bit. I'm firm in my belief that Brandon Moreno is going to walk away victorious here. Very firm, very firm. First round, it's 1 round of a 5-round fight, so you can't get totally discouraged. But yeah, just Figueiredo's got the volume, which I didn't really see coming, only because Figueiredo not really a volume guy. That's kind of Moreno's department. And yeah, it's a low calf kick, man. They knew, you knew they worked on it hard. It was an excellent, excellent weapon. He used it to great efficiency, but right from the get-go, he's effectively just putting this thing on him, putting this thing on him. Doubles him up in the striking count. Moreno looks like he's taking a... When you're fighting a guy with that much power, who is traditionally a first-round fighter, which Figueiredo is, I think you give the guy a lot of respect. You don't go in there and try to brawl with him. You don't try to, push the pace that much. It's take your time, try to grind him up against the cage, try to maybe wrestle a little bit, just to slow things down and try to get that lactic acid built up in his muscles. Second, third, fourth, fifth round, we progressively turn up the volume. So drop the first round, not the end of the world. Second round, okay, this is where we want it. Moreno's doing exactly what we need. Now, tables are reversed. Figueiredo's got a ton of power, but he knows if he just lets it go. Beyond he knows, his coaches know. If he just lets all that power go and gets reckless, he just zaps himself, tires himself out. I mean, it's happened to him in the past. And so they kept continuously urging him, like, save your energy, don't go all out. Like, slow down, slow down. That second round, he's not throwing a ton of volume. Moreno is getting to him. It's a good round. But, yeah, we got a 1-1. Things are going our way. We got a 1-1. They show the live betting line after the second, minus 185, Brandon Moreno. I think that's a steal, right? We lost the first round, but we maybe just gave it away. The second round, we just won. We're going into the third round. It's only going to get better for us. Third round is going better for us. It's the same thing. We're outstriking him. Is he dangerous? Sure, he's dangerous, but Brandon Moreno's a fresher guy. He's a faster guy. He's putting the combinations together, and he's starting to work them. The wrestling's not really there on either side. He is landing some nasty calf kicks, but Moreno, he's walking a little gingerly. He might switch stances briefly, but then he just goes right back into the orthodox stance and gets back to his bread and butter, which is getting in the pocket and landing combinations. So I didn't feel like things were going that bad. It's a competitive round, but Moreno's winning the round, and he gets floored. 10 seconds left, straight right hand, knocks out. knocks out any flyweight, sure, but I mean, knocks out most, lightweights. Like, that thing was dead smack on the money, and he sat right into it. But there's 10 seconds left, right? It looked like Moreno had recovered, but like, that's the telling shot of the round. Like, all of that good work that he had done, all of that, volume. He was winning the third round. He was outstriking him in the third round. He was putting the pressure on him in the third round, and you just like, all of that's undone by getting dropped. Tough, man, very tough. And so now I'm looking at, I'm down on a 2-1 going into the fourth. So fourth round, close and competitive. I see one of the judges scored the fight, that one for Figueiredo. I thought it was Moreno. I thought it was a close, competitive round. Maybe came down to the last minute, but ever so slightly, the work from the champion. The crowd's also getting behind it. I mean, they love chanting, "Let's go, Brandon." Maybe because they love Brandon Moreno. Maybe not. All the same, they were into it, right? When he would scramble and get back up, they'd go nuts. When he'd land something, they'd go nuts. When Figgy would land something, they didn't care too much. Now, none of that matters. Who cares what the fans think? But it does affect you as a judge. Now, if you're a judge and you're sitting there, this is a world championship fight. It's a trilogy match. It's tight, right? This is a tight fight. you know your scorecard's 2-1 either way, right? You might have a 2-1. Well, I think because of the knockdown, you have a 2-1 Figueiredo, right? If you score this fourth round for Figueiredo, this fight's essentially dead unless Moreno has. I think as a human being, the crowd's going nuts. It's a close round. You could score that fourth round for anybody, but it seems like Moreno's getting some momentum back. He overcame that knockdown that last round and is really, working his way back into this fight. Let's make it a 2-2 going into the fifth. Whoever wants it more in the fifth is going to come through. I scored the fourth round for Brandon Moreno. I thought it came down to the fifth round. And Moreno's the live betting underdog. So I thought, again, this is an excellent time to hit Brandon Moreno. And if he is truly the champion I believe him to be, the cardio, the pace, all these different attributes, all these different X factors, all these different things that I've, hyped up about him. If he is that guy, he's going to come through in this fifth round. Did not start off the fifth round particularly good. I thought Figueiredo did the better work throughout the maybe first 3 minutes. It's close. This is a close round. The fourth minute of the fight, this is a Figgy round. But it's close the whole way through, right? There's momentum swings. It's close. And then, in the last 30 seconds, Figueiredo's trying to bait him on to just like, let's throw. And the entire time, Figueiredo's corner had been telling him, like, don't just brawl with him. Don't just brawl with him, which I thought was a little strange because you're the brawler. You're the guy with the big power. Like, why not lure him into this? But it just seemed like when Moreno would land, he would get Figueiredo's attention. Figueiredo, meanwhile, he dropped Moreno, but twice. The guy just gets back up. He soldiered on. There was I don't know if it was a power discrepancy or if it was the cast iron Mexican chin was holding up. He didn't really want to brawl with him. So in these last 30 seconds, now there's 30 seconds left. Figueiredo did brawl with him. And I thought Moreno caught him a couple times. He landed the better shots. He offset his balance. Was it enough to win the fifth round? Your guess is as good as mine. I thought so. I scored the fight on a personal level. I scored the fight for Brandon Moreno. But that could be a bias. And I can't scream robbery either way. Very good fight. Very close fight. Very competitive fight. I was confident in Moreno. This wasn't the kind of performance that you were like, I was right. Even if he gets his hand raised. This is as close as it gets. And they disagreed. And so, I just got to swallow my medicine on that one. I checked out MMA decisions. I don't know. Let's say they had 20 people score it. Maybe six of them had it for Moreno. 14 had it for Figueiredo. So the rightful man won. The judges saw it unanimous. And so that's what it is, right? Did I score for Brandon Moreno? Sure. Sadly, I'm not a UFC judge. So just real bad night. I think I'm like 3-6. It's not like this is an abysmal effort. We've now, I don't know. I think maybe we're 4-6. I think we're 4-6 going to the last fight. But still, I really liked Moreno, and he loses. Stamen's my dog of the week. He lasts 47 seconds. Trevin Giles, I didn't really give a shit. But you know what I mean? He looked terrible all the same. Raoni Barcelos, my guy. Love me some Raoni Barcelos. Just absolutely looked cooked. Jack Della, thanks for just being Jack Della. Thank God. Fucking blind squirrel finds a nut a few times, right? Tony Gravely, he those are the guys that should have based things around. Matt Frivola based things around. But anyways, it's just a bad card. This is a bad card all around. The only one possible saving grace is if Cyril Gane's to become the new champion of the world, and at least you can end the night on a positive note, right? Everybody wants to go to bed with that little tiny thing, man, that little carrot. Well, at least I got the main event right. On to the next one. First two rounds actually looked okay. This is a boring fight. When you consider Moreno and Davidson Figueiredo was an absolute war, thrilling fight of the night, right? Michel Pereira versus Andre Fiallo, sweet fight. That gets a fight of the night on pretty much any other card. Victor Henry versus Raoni Barcelos, as much as Raoni let me down, dope. Really good fight. As far as performance bonuses go, Saeed's getting one, Michael Morales is getting one, Jack Della's getting one. Gravely didn't do enough. Wasn't a bad fight though, right? Wasn't the most exciting, but was fair. Matt Frivola's fight, holy shit. You don't think that gets fight of the night on another card? You don't think that deserves a bonus? You're looking at 3 potential fight of the nights. Vanessa Demolpis is getting a bonus. Jasmine's fight was like Gravely's. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. This is a good card. It maybe lacked a little bit of star power, but it's delivered definitely from an entertainment standpoint. From a financial standpoint, not only is the pay-per-view like $75, but I got fucking toasted. If I hadn't mentioned that already. Not a good night. But Cyril Gane turned things around for me, right? Oh, and I got a shoey bet with Paul. So, I already got a drink one with Locke because Brandon Moreno didn't get that fifth round, apparently. God damn it. maybe I can redeem myself ever so slightly here. It wasn't that entertaining of a fight. I thought Gane did exactly what most people thought he would do for the first two. Stay to the outside, use his jab, kind of use that speed. They're fighting in a big octagon, like utilize every inch of it if you have to. Did a good job with that. Francis, he's huge power, and if he hits you, he's going to knock you out. And you've never seen power like this in your life, but there just wasn't really any opportunities for him to land that big power. He crashed forward a few times, but Gane would just clinch right away. He'd clinch, and then he'd separate and back away. He's landing the volume. He wins the first two rounds. There's not much happening, but this just looks like a boring heavyweight fight. And then Francis turns the table 3, 4, and 5. And to me, that was the miraculous thing is, you're 35. He's got the story. He comes from Cameroon. He's working in salt mines. He comes over to France. He's homeless. He picks up the sport late. He thinks he's going to be a pro boxer. Boxing doesn't quite pan out right away. Fernand Lopez suggests MMA. And it's like, it's a great story. It really is, right? It's a redemption story. I don't know, redemption. He was dealt a bad hand in life, and he turns that bad hand into a UFC title, millions of dollars. Like, it's a great story. But at no point in this great story is it like this guy's going to be able to go up and pick up world-class wrestling skills, right? World-class grappling skills. But you did see a glimpse of it in the Stipe fight, where it's like, shit, this guy's been working on it. But he got tired. He got tired because he's using something he doesn't usually do. Swing hands. Been doing it a long time. Wrestling, grinding, positionally holding guys down, trying to advance position, searching for submissions, ground and pound. That stuff's tiring to a guy that's never done it before. And I thought he looked tired against Stipe. This Gane fight, again, if Francis was going to win any of the rounds, in my mind, it's those early rounds. Once Gane won those early rounds, this is only going to get better for us. I know my guy could fight 5 rounds, and I believe that guy can't. These are just going to progressively get better and better. And what do I know about Francis's wrestling other than he showed a glimpse of it against Stipe, and he showed a Kimura against Anthony Hamilton once upon a time? Like, what do we really base it? If you were going to give it 5 stars, right? Like a star out of 5, how many do you give it? Just haven't seen it. But this guy's not fucking around, dude. I mean, maybe I thought he had a bad attitude. Maybe I thought he's got one foot out the door and he's talking about doing pro boxing and the UFC's not paying me enough and he fights once a year, but he's obviously dedicated to his craft. He's obviously in the gym every day because you don't just show up one day and have a whole new refined set of skills. Now, was it the prettiest wrestling out there? Was it when you're a heavyweight? Yeah, things are never going to look as good as a flyweight. They're never going to look as good as a bantamweight. There's not those explosive scrambles and those high-end technical moves, but he showed that he's more than he's already considered one of the better strikers, one of the best strikers, and he showed that he can also just go to a plan B. Crazy. And then beyond all that, the ring IQ necessary to be able to flow your two skills together when you know you're down. Ronnie Barcelos can't do that. A lot of guys can't do that. Just can't make the decision on the fly. Can't figure out how to blend two skills together. So I can't take anything away from Francis. I lost. I was wrong. I got to do Shui. I had basically already lost all my money, so it wasn't like this one hurt any more than I've already been hurt. It was just a shit way to go to bed for sure. And the card, I don't know, Eastern Standard Time. Maybe I was just tired. I don't know. I was fucking zapped by the end of this event. Just tired. Maybe you don't got the adrenaline going because you're not kicking ass. You're getting smoked. Maybe that's tiring on you. But also just like this fight, I didn't feel was all that good. Maybe I'm being harsh on it. Maybe you feel the same way. I don't know. So if you blindly tailed me, you also took a bad beating. If you were on the same plays as me, I mean, you took a bad beating. And if you completely went with the polar opposite, you likely did quite well, at least on the main card anyways, or at least in those last 2 fights, I guess the ones that make the most sense financially. People have the most investment on the top 2, and I was definitely wrong in the top 2, so what can you do? We do have a Bellator next week. I guess this week coming up, and then we're back in business with the UFC after that. So yeah, like it's early January. You start off a year bad, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm big on like bankroll management. And first event of the year, I got, I'm just gonna let it ride. Yeah, Calvin Kattar, whatever, it doesn't matter to me. First event of the year, I blew my own top ticket when I could have hedged out pretty decent. Okay, whatever, fine. This one here, I just got annihilated right through. So I definitely got to shore myself up. And the frustrating part is it wasn't like I just took the event off and didn't watch any of the fights. I tape studied it. I felt good with the leans. Just had some bad bounces. So once I finish this recap, I'm going to break out the laptop and I'm going to start getting ready for Bellator. I'm going to get ready for the next shows. I'm going to get ready for the UFC. It's frustrating because now when you watch the fight, it's like, oh, I love this guy. I love this guy. And then a little bit of doubt at the back of your head's like, you like that other guy. You love Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno, sweet play that was going to be, right? Oh, Cyril Gane. He's going to get caught, or that's it. Not going to get wrestled. Mike Francis Ngannou. Shit happens, dude. Shit happens. But if you bet NFL or you bet hockey or you bet NBA, shit happens in any sport, man. You have bad nights. Sadly, this was one of them. It was supposed to be a good time because it's UFC 270, the pay-per-views. You wanted to crack out a couple drinks and have a celebratory cigar afterwards. Just didn't work out that way. So anyways, lick the wounds, rebound next time. Sorry if I cost you any money. Unfortunately, there's going to be 52 weeks of this, so hopefully I can win it back for you at some point. Thanks for the support. I'll catch you guys next time. Oh, oh, oh. Oh.